In today's video, I want to go over all of my tips for wearing the color blue. These are things you can use to incorporate this color into your closet and your own personal color palette. And I think blue suits everybody, and there's a way to customize it perfectly for you. So let's get started. Now, when it comes to actually wearing the color blue, I think understanding the energy behind it is really important. I think that's relevant for all colors, but blue in particular has such a strong energy, and we have such strong associations with the color. We see the color blue all the time with the sky and the ocean and water in general, and so it's always around us. And when it comes down to it, I think it really gives off this feeling of very therapeutic, very calm, very, very classic, very timeless, and also very refreshing. It's where that water element comes in. So I personally really love wearing this color because I like to harness all of those into my wardrobe. Now let's go over some of my tips for choosing the perfect blue for you. So regardless of the shade or the color that you choose under the umbrella of blue, it's going to give off that energy that I mentioned, and you can personalize it by changing up how rich it feels, how dark it feels, how light it feels, and also how cool or how warm it feels. So let's talk about the overall brightness first. So when you look at the color blue, you have quite a range. You can go for really, really light blue, something that feels really close to white, and then all the way to a really deep blue, something that almost feels like black. And that range is something really important to consider because the lighter end of that is going to feel very fresh, very light, very breezy, a little bit ethereal. And then the darker end is going to feel a little bit more conservative, a little bit more serious, and definitely a little bit more formal. So choosing which direction you want to go is definitely the first thing to consider. And then as you funnel that down, you want to consider if you want a cool blue or a warm blue. Now, as you go really light and really dark, the intensity of the warm or the cool becomes a little bit harder to distinguish. So if you like a really, really dark color, don't really worry about it too much. And then likewise, if you go super, super light, because that energy is going to override whether or not it's cool or warm. Now, if you do want something that feels very cool or very warm, you can definitely do that with the color blue. Even though blue by itself feels very cool because of blue, you can definitely add yellow to it. And when you do, you can push it almost over to teal. And adding more and more yellow is going to make it feel a little bit fresher, a little bit more vibrant, and then of course warmer. Now if you add blue to it and you intensify that blue and make it feel a little bit steely and gray, then it's going to feel again a little bit more conservative, a little bit more formal, and definitely more serious. And I think also perfectly suited for colder weather. So lean into your preference here and have a lot of fun comparing them. I think that when you're looking at a color like blue that feels very cool, it can be kind of hard to differentiate cool versus warm. But if you look at them side by side, it becomes really clear. So kind of practice this. And especially as you're shopping and you're out looking for different shades of blue, you can put them next to each other and see which leans a little bit more yellow and which leans a little bit more true blue. Now, if this is all way too confusing for you, there's a very easy way to simplify this, and that is to go for one of two options. The first is a very true blue, something that's right smack dab in the middle, and it kind of feels like a royal blue. That's going to be easy to find and really easy to mix and match. It leans into more of that primary color. And then alternatively, if you want something that feels very, very classic, going for something like a rich navy is ideal for that. Navy is everywhere. You can find versions of navy at any store, at any price point, and it's a beautiful, beautiful alternative to black. Something really nice to consider and also incredibly timeless. Now also, when I personally think of the color blue, I immediately think of blue jeans or denim, and as a result, I think it's a really easy way to start if you're trying to incorporate this color into your wardrobe. It's kind of a color without being a color. We associate denim with being very classic, very easy to mix and match, and quintessential to so many personal styles. And as a result, going for that beautiful mid blue is something that's going to work every single time. You don't have to worry about this feeling dated, and you can definitely take what we mentioned earlier and go lighter or darker, make it cooler or warmer. But I think if you stick right in the middle, it's going to work every time. And I think regardless of any color palette that you choose, and it's going to resist trends so beautifully. So to close out this video, I wanted to give you some ideas of colors that you can easily pair with blue. Now, like I mentioned, if you're going for blue jeans, I think you can wear any color with that. The blue jeans are such a beautiful anchor point. But if instead you want to bring blue into your wardrobe in another way, maybe a traditional pant, or maybe a top, like a shirt like I'm wearing today, or like a sweater, then these are really good to consider because it can give you some flexibility. And then also you can use this as a springboard for accessories and jewelry. And it's a really beautiful way to start experimenting and figuring out what you like. So the first that I have to mention is blue with white or off-white. Because the sky is blue and clouds tend to be white, and then as the sun filters in, they can feel a little bit off-white. This is something we see everywhere, and as a result, I think it's so perfect. You can also think of the ocean and like those caps as the water kind of gets frothy and as the waves crash, and it's such a beautiful and incredibly timeless combination. And this works whether you go light blue or dark blue, warm blue or cool blue. Just really, really versatile. And then the next one is blue and tan or brown. Now there's something so classic about this. It feels very preppy, very equestrian, and again, very timeless. And as a result, I think it's a great one to consider because the tan or the brown helps anchor that blue. Again, you can go light blue or dark blue. I think light blue and tan is perfect for the summer, and then a rich navy and a really rich brown is great for the fall and winter. And it's adaptable for any place that you live, any personal style, and it creates the most beautiful backdrop for any personal style. Now, very similar to that, if you add some red to your brown and you move it to burgundy or maroon, I think that goes so exquisitely with blue and especially with navy. So navy and burgundy are some of my favorite colors to wear together. I think they complement each other so beautifully. And then if you have a very obviously warmer blue, going for something like a maroon is going to be perfect. That maroon and that brown element is going to make it feel very anchored, very, very harmonious, and very, very timeless. And then very similar to the blue with the white or the off-white, I think pairing blue and gray works just as well for that very same logic. As we have clouds kind of move in and they get a little bit gray and misty, or we have fog kind of moving over the landscape and against the blue sky, that combination is so great. It's a little bit moody, a little bit mystical, it feels kind of ethereal, and again, I think works for every personal style, because just like you can take the blue and make it very cool or a little bit warmer, you can do that with gray as well, and you can make it more of like a taupey gray or something like a steel gray. You have so much flexibility, and there's a ton of inspiration out there for these two worn together. And then the last one that I have to mention is blue and blue together. So you can do this in a very literal way and take the exact same color head to toe. So you can take navy and navy, or maybe you can contrast it and go for navy and a light blue, kind of like a sky blue, and have fun mixing these shades together. Anytime you wear the same color head to toe in a monochromatic way, or you go more tonal and take like lighter versions and darker versions all worn together, it feels very, very put together immediately. And again, it creates a beautiful backdrop for all of your accessories. So as you can see, I really love the color blue. I think it's incredibly adaptable and really personal, and you can have a lot of flexibility with how you customize that for your own style. I'm also going to link my Pinterest board down below where you can get all of these images. I've saved all of them over there, and you can then save them to your own boards as you kind of reference your own wardrobe curation, and then you can refer back to them as you're putting together outfits. And definitely let me know what your favorite blue to wear is, and if you have any combination that I didn't mention that you really love. And like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Have a great day.